This lesson will be about the law of sines, and this will be a first lesson. And what we want to do is we want to talk about how the law of sines is developed. And what our objective is I can use right triangle trig to develop the law of sines. So we're going to use what we know and produce something new. The law of sines will be based on being able to solve for angles and sides that are not in a right triangle. So let's start off with this triangle. We'll label the angles A, B, and C, and the sides B, A, and C, where they're opposite, the little letters are opposite the big letters. And what I'm going to do is start off by drawing in altitude. Since there's no right triangles necessarily defined in this triangle, I'm going to go ahead and set up a right triangle by drawing an altitude to this side C. And I'm going to call that side H. So now what I'm going to do is over here with this right triangle here, I'm going to use what I know, which is that I can say that sine of angle A equals the opposite side in this right triangle, H, over the hypotenuse, and in this right triangle, B is the hypotenuse, so it's going to be equal over B. And if I multiply by B on both sides, I've got B times sine of A equal to that height, H, of that triangle. Now I'm going to go over to this triangle on this side. On this triangle, I can set up the same sort of information. I can use this angle B and say that sine of angle B is equal to the opposite side of it in this right triangle. That's equal to H over the hypotenuse in this right triangle, which is A. And if I multiply by A on both sides, I get A times sine of B equal to H. Now I've got two statements that are equal to H. I can bring them together, set them equal to each other. So B times sine of A equals A times sine of B. And now if I divide both sides by B and A both, I'm going to divide this by A and B, so that here the A's cancel and here the B's cancel. I get sine of angle A over little a, side A, equals sine of angle B over little b, side B. So we could do that same process to relate them to C as well if we used and erased this height and did it with instead to one of the other sides. We'd get it the same statement, and what we would then get is that sine of angle C, following that same reasoning, over C will be equal to that. This is the law of sines, where you take sine of an angle and put it over the side opposite it, and all of those ratios equal each other. So that's how you use right triangle trigonometry to develop the law of sines.